Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Activities for People Living at Home with Dementia. We are proud to offer this series with funding from the Area Agency on Aging and the United Way of Tarrant County. These programs are recorded and are made available for viewing through a YouTube channel for future use. I am your host for today's activities. It is my pleasure to present to you Peggy Spear from the Amon Carter Museum of American Art. Peggy's topic today is boats, and I'm looking forward to seeing what she brings to us. Peggy, show us some boats.
All right.
All right.
There we go.
Dusty. No, you're right.
Okay. Y'all
I got you,
see
Nene.
that?
There you go. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Good. At least that was for us. Okay. So we have all sorts of ships in our collection. Ships, boats, kayaks, canoes, you name it. We've got all different depictions. So this is again one of those topics where we could do it 400 times, and each time we're looking at different things. So I tried to pick some different mediums that represent boats in our collection. And this first artwork we're going to look at is a lithograph with applied watercolors, someone back in a campaign kit. And it is of the famous clipper ship Flying Cloud. So I'm sure people have, if not in your house, you might remember your parents' house or friends' houses having prints of boats like this on their wall. Does anyone have that currently? Or
Now,
Remember
Peggy, I'm
it.
going to have to say something, Peggy.
So go ahead.
You cannot call these boats.
No,
I had
these are
a
ships.
friend who was a commander in the Navy, and he would get very upset when you call a ship a boat.
Well, don't tell him I said that, please.
I will not.
But I appreciate the correction. This
Thank you.
ship, does anyone have naval ships hanging on their wall? Maybe like this, maybe something from England, but yes, ships were very popular and continue to be a popular home decor type of print.
I can't remember mine.
But does anyone know anything about this particular clipper named Flying Cloud?
I can't wait for you to tell us.
This is a fun little research. I'm not much of a naval or ship buff at all. As you can tell, I'm calling the wrong names. But this is apparently in the ship crowd. This is a very famous clipper because it, for 135 years, held the fastest record for getting from New York to San Francisco Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I want to make sure I'm getting the year right. I want to say, I didn't write it down. No, I didn't write it down. In 1838, this took its voyage from the New York Harbor around South Africa to San Francisco in 89 days and 21 hours. And then 3 years later, it beat its record and made it in 89 days and 3 hours. And that was the record that maintained for as long as it did. And so many people, if you were to just Google Flying Clouds, you can get commemorative plates and ashtrays and prints. And so that this ship was the end all be all for an extremely long time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't that cool? And so does anyone know what makes a clipper ship a clipper ship?
I don't.
All the sails?
Say that again, yeah?
All the sails?
Yeah, the sails, I believe, the type of sails.
The
And-
sails are part of it.
And the shape
The
of
ship,
it.
the shape of the bow.
Yeah.
The shape, it's mostly
many-
the width of it. The
Mhm.
width has a lot to do with it. So it could cut through the water pretty quickly, clip the waves. That's where the name clipper came from,
Oh,
clipping the waves. And it wasn't built for cargo, or it was built for speed. So it was just, it's a hot version of a ship.
This?
They did carry
And-
cargo, but it wasn't massive amounts of cargo.
No, and eventually they started changing design to still have the clip effect, but then it was like with the slave trade routes, clippers were
Right.
being used and things like that. So eventually it did have more of a cargo and passenger, not so much passenger, but cargo
Mhm.
effect to it. But this was built specifically for its speed, this particular clipper.
It's the sports car boats.
And all those sails.
It's the what? It's the sports car of boats.
Sports
Yes.
car boats. Back then it was the racehorse of boats, I guess.
Right. Yeah. It was the hot model that you really wanted to get.
That's
on.
right.
And
I
so
guess
oh, go
even
ahead.
though distance-wise it was shorter going around the southern coast was point of South America is safer going through around Africa
It was, yes.
because that is very dangerous water down there
Yeah.
Yeah.
where the two oceans come together.
Yeah.
And eventually clippers kind of fell out of need and fashion because canals were built.
Yeah,
And so there was no, the distance was already being shortened. So the speed
well,
of the
and
boat.
the steam engines came along too. That
Right.
lessened
Yeah.
their
So
need.
as technology advanced, but this, the record wasn't broken until 1989.
Really?
Yeah. So it took a while for another boat. I'm assuming clipper, not any sort of engine.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
So did this ship go through the Civil War in America and then through World War One?
I don't know. I don't know where it was docked when it wasn't being used. It was created in Boston. So excuse me, I think it came out of the Boston Harbor, not out of New York.
Okay.
It was a Boston boat architect. And I don't know where it docked when it wasn't in use. I don't know if it was used in war or anything outside of just it setting its record.
Okay.
But this seemed to be like America's sweetheart. So I think if you were to give it a Google, you would find out a lot of its history outside of it setting its record. And another interesting thing about this particular ship is that the captain of the ship it navigated with the help of his wife. His wife was the one that was navigating the boat.
Oh, really?
Around. Very unusual.
That was unusual. Yeah.
Day. And she grew up in Boston and learned as a child how to navigate on vessels. And so she was the one that worked with her husband.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? So, and down here, I know it's almost impossible to read, it's the dimensions of the different parts of the ship. So it's there's feet, numbers of feet, there's the length of the overall, different, the depth of a beam, depth of the hold. So there's all sorts of stats, kind of like a collector's baseball card on this particular ship.
So Steve or somebody,
yes,
would this ship be made out of say oak rather than
I
pine or
believe it
something?
is. I'm looking at it right now. Wow. It does not say, but it would be oak, I believe.
I would believe also.
Yeah. Actually, the world record was set for the California gold rush. That's what it was known for.
Oh, okay.
Those miners out to California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you say they went around South Africa or South America?
Yeah, South
South
Africa.
America.
South Africa. Okay. Now I understand that why because of the weather conditions.
Right.
Wait, how would it be going around South Africa if it was going from New York to San Francisco?
It would go across the Pacific. It'd go across the Atlantic and then across the Pacific.
And I think that the prevailing trade winds probably were in their favor going that direction.
Plus, it was safer. It was safer.
It was safer.
Of the.
Oh man. Well then, 89 days is a real feat. Prior to that, it averaged about 6 months. So
wow.
Holy moly.
And how long did it take? I don't know.
89 days.
89 days. Wow.
89 days.
89 days, 8 hours, and then it broke its own record. It was 89 days, 21 hours. 3 years later, it broke its own record, 89 days, 8 hours. So it works out the kinks, shaved off some time.
Yeah.
So this was one of this particular print you can find in museums across the country just because it was such a popular interest for America. So I think the Smithsonian has one, the Library of Congress has one. You can give it a Google like Steve just did, and you'll all sorts of interesting memorabilia surrounding this this clipper.
Yeah.
And the name Clipper started, like I said, because it's clipping the waves, but from the Baltimore Clippers, the boats that were being built out of the Baltimore Harbor.
Yeah.
That's where the name, they were called Baltimore Clippers. And then Clipper then became the universal name for all the ships that were built.
Okay.
All right. So this is a print. We're leaving this famous boat behind. And we're going to this beautiful painting. So this painting, this does not do any justice to how breathtaking this artwork is in real life. And it's a rather larger painting. It's 32 inches by 54. So
Wow.
yeah, it's when you cannot miss it when you're in the gallery. It's because of its presence, but also its physical presence. So tell me what you see here.
I see smaller sailing vessels, either pleasure or maybe fishing or some other kind of activity.
You
In a
hit that right on
thunderstorm.
the head, Don. It's both of there are ships. This particular bay is in Rhode Island, Narragansett Bay, and this people would either fish for leisure, but there was also a lot of commercial work that was happening in that bay as well. So I think we're seeing, like you just pointed out, both ends of that using the water.
Okay.
Yet I think you started to say something.
And they're in a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Caught in a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
So what indicates the thunderstorm to you?
See the lightning.
The clouds, the lightning, the rain.
I saw the rain first.
The rain first. Yeah, they're all three of those elements are there. It's just interesting to see what hits you first. The rain, you can see it looks like it's coming down in sheets over here.
Yeah, it does.
It hasn't quite hit this part of the bay. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel calm? Do you feel stressed? What emotions do you feel when you look at this artwork?
I
Well,
want to go for shelter.
You feel,
Yeah,
yeah, you want to.
But the people walking don't seem to be real in a hurry.
yeah, that's right.
Just kind of meandering along. Yeah,
Maybe the rain's on the other side of the bay.
that could be.
Yeah. It feels pretty serene for what looks like a very terrifying situation if you were on the water.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, go
The
ahead.
birds don't seem much bothered by it.
Yeah.
Just kind of doing their thing. Our curator has beautifully described it as a disquieting calm, because you can tell there's a threat, but the almost glass-like effect of on the water
Yeah.
and the quietness the rest of the painting feels. While we know it's a thunderstorm, I don't feel like I'm hearing that thunder.
Yeah.
It feels quiet to me. Do other
Yeah.
people feel that way, or do you feel like you're hearing the thunder? What do people think?
You might hear the thunder, but it'll be distant.
Mhm.
It reminds me of the calm before the storm.
Calm before the storm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's approaching.
Yeah.
yeah.
There are no
Yeah.
ripples in the water.
No, yeah. That's probably why they're taking the sail down on that one boat.
Yeah.
They see the storm coming.
Yeah.
But I noticed the sails on all the other boats around the water, they're
Oh.
still sailing normally. They're not
Yeah.
being blown by the wind for all intents and purposes that I can tell.
Yeah, it
Reminds me of-
doesn't seem aggressive.
Yeah.
But there's still, I mean, you wouldn't want to be on the water personally. You wouldn't want to be on a boat like this
No.
when that storm's coming.
Oh,
I've been on a sailboat in a storm.
And
before.
did you
Yeah.
enjoy it, or were you hoping?
No, I didn't really enjoy it. It's kind of a strange thing because it's all raining
The scary thing.
and it really the boat really didn't go much because it was just the wind was just going all over the place.
Yeah.
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 Then you had a
Yeah.
Forrest Gump moment.
So you hold on to the mast,
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
try to
Hunker
keep-
down and pray for daylight.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. Yeah.
You try to keep your boat pointed into the wind,
Yeah.
so it doesn't get blown sideways or out of position.
Fortunately, it was on a lake and there was a camp there, and some of the folks on shore saw it, so they brought out their motor launch
Oh, nice.
Okay,
and pulled us in.
that's good.
Yeah, because they realized we were not going to be able to get out of it.
Well, that's helpful to have those
Yep.
hands close by.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of get the sense that maybe some of these boats are heading towards shore,
Yeah.
whereas these ones just look like they are out to lunch. I mean, there's nothing they can do but
Yeah.
weather it.
Yeah, they're out, or either that, or they're headed toward the other side.
Yeah, true. And what's kind of interesting, I mean, this is such a bizarre painting for this particular artist. It was not well received when it was created, and he had recognition at the time. And people were very confused by this because he was typically painting marsh or happy landscape scenes that were
Oh, really?
sunlit and bright, or flowers. He was really well known for painting orchids and hummingbirds. So generally happy topics.
Yeah.
And this one was very confusing because of the lighting. Like over here, it almost looks like the sun is still out, but
Yeah.
we're seeing total cloud coverage. It's dark. It feels kind of like a stressful situation.
Yeah.
So people didn't really know what to make of this artwork when it came out. Regardless,
Sounds like those people had narrow minds.
probably. And he was one of those people that did not confine to the norms of the day. So while this topic was, or while this depiction is very out of character for him, it was in keeping with his behavior of kind of bucking the norms of the time. So anyway.
How big was this? You said how big is this, Peggy?
It's about 32 by 54 inches large.
Big.
Yeah, it's big. It's probably one of my favorite artworks on view in our collection. So if you ever get to our galleries, it's in our landscape. It's a seascape, but it's in our landscape gallery. It's wonderful, and it's hanging with his other paintings that we have of his in our collection. So it makes that contrast even more dramatic. What he was known for and what then he created.
Well, on the other side, is that a village, a town?
It looks like it's probably the town of Narragansett.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just asking.
No, that it's pretty muddled looking, but that's what it does look like. It's the town. All right, so now we're going to totally switch boats, but same part of the country. We're in New England, and now we're in Provincetown, Massachusetts. So not far from Narragansett. And this artwork is entitled Four Boats. And why do you think it's entitled Four Boats?
Because there must be 4 boats.
Bingo. Let's see. We've got 1,
1, 2,
2,
3.
3.
4.
Okay, good. Do
I
3
saw-
and 4 again.
3 is what this man is working on.
I
Yeah.
thought that was number 2.
And number 2 is this one right here. It kind of looks like a flag
Where's number 1?
up here. This
Okay.
That greeny one.
Okay.
Oh, I
and then
thought
this
that
red
was-
one is down.
Oh,
I
Okay.
didn't see
town.
number 1 at first.
Yeah, I thought that they were together, and then the red one, number 3, and then this brown thing sticking out, number 4.
I don't know what. There could be more than 4 because, as we've learned, artists lie. But I don't know what that is. What she's depicting.
That was
She
veiled.
she had a little studio on the wharf in Provincetown.
This
And
one.
so I don't know what she could be seeing from her window or what she saw in this particular work. It could easily be another boat.
There was her thumb on the lens.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry.
Now all I can see is a thumb.
That's
I'm
so
sorry.
funny.
I'm sorry.
Remember, this artwork is going to be viewed as a thumbprint, a thumb blocking the view.
Yeah.
Great suggestion, Steve.
I love it. She was really into abstract and cubist aesthetic. So we're seeing both of those here. We're seeing
I,
a cubey thumb and we're seeing abstraction.
Okay.
I absolutely love it. I love the curved window up in the corner.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I think there's another window on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. She, so Provincetown is the definition of an artist community. During World War I, when Paris closed, Provincetown became the spot in America for artists to go to. And so if you can Google almost any artist from this time period between like 1915 to about, I mean, it continues to be now to this day, but from 1915 to the Second World War, this was where so many artists would retreat. And as this particular artist, Blanche Lizelle, said, that there's creative energy just in the air we breathed here. So it was a very accepting community of artists and creatives. And so that this was, many paintings have resulted as artists lived there. And so she was really well known as, this is a wood block and she would use a knife as her tool, but it's a white line wood block. So you can see the separation.
Yeah.
Is the white line. And she would create prints of, on using the wood block. And she wasn't interested in recreating the same print over and over and over again. She would use Parisian watercolors. That's what's giving it its color. And she wasn't concerned in matching the same exact color to the print before. She just was doing it because she really loved it. So this is an example of, you can see, really the artist's hand here with the curve, the white lines, the application of
Maybe that is part of her hand. The finger.
Oh, right here, the palm. Yeah, she's using
Yeah, it could
this.
be, because it looks like, I can't say it. I guess right hand, that'd be the thumb, and then the finger coming around.
Yeah, so she ended up making money on teaching lessons to people in Provincetown on how to do woodcut color.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was $5 a lesson, and the lesson series was 5 classes long. So she ended up monetizing her creativity that way.
Wow. Just like Google.
Yeah. So this is a very different depiction, a very cheery, abstract depiction of a boat.
So is this one part of the collection that you have in Amon Carter? Okay.
Yeah. And the last time it was on view, I want to say, was like the early 20 teens, maybe. It hadn't been on view since I've been here.
Okay.
And then we got to include a photograph. But this is, the boat is not the focus, but it almost, to me, blends into the architecture. And it's of a boat on Fulton Street Dock in New York City and Manhattan. What jumps out to you first?
The tide's out.
The masts.
The masts, yeah.
The buildings on the right was the first thing I saw.
Yeah. The masts blend in, not blend in, but complement the city, the skyscrapers behind it. It's your eyes want to go up in this artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so this building behind the mast is 70 Pine. And it was at one point the tallest building in New York City. And the purpose of this photograph is one of many in a series Bernice Abbott took, depicting changing New York. And so she was funded by, or she did this with the government right before the onset of the Great Depression. And she was capturing New York as it was changing and growing and evolving. So she was able to photograph a bunch of buildings that have been since torn down or have been renovated in a way that might not even look like it once did. And this, while this is not depicting one building in particular, it was really capturing the pier, the moored boat, and the skyline from this particular vantage point.
Does anybody think that boat's really low in the water?
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you
Steve.
tomorrow.
Bye-bye, Steve.
Steve.
Bye. This is a street. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know. This was taken, I believe it's sunrise. So,
Sunrise?
I
Okay.
mean, granted, the tide is constantly changing, but this is a dock. So I'm sure if
Yeah.
you took it maybe 10 hours later, that boat might look a little higher or lower. or
Probably.
whatever.
Okay.
It has been raining, and if it's the sunrise, the moon is still up.
Yep, that's right.
Where are you seeing the moon?
Up there in the right-hand
right.
corner.
This,
at
Right
top.
there.
I think that might actually be something on the film,
Oh,
Oh,
because you can also see there's an imperfection here.
okay.
It was a good story though, Yetta.
I thought so.
I know, I
too.
love that poetic narrative to it,
Yes.
but I think it was just, this might not be the best conditioned photograph.
Okay.
And yeah, so this particular photographer, after or this time in her career, she used to be was very well known for her portraiture, but then during this time in her career, she really shifted to documenting, taking documentary style photographs, which is seen in this Changing New York series, taking all different images of the city. And while the boat is not part of the city, the docks and the commerce coming in and out of these docks are part of the life of the city.
To me, it also seems to have a contrast of old world versus new world. The
Yeah,
old
yeah.
with the books and the new world with the buildings.
That's a really, really beautiful observation. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So is there two boats? I mean, there's a two-master here. It looks like there's another boat. that
Yeah.
has Another
Behind it.
behind it.
Yeah, so it looks like 1-2 boats and they're just lining the pier for the dock. So those are our boats and ships, as I was reminded, not all boats. Next week, we are looking at stars in our depictions of stars in our collection. So
Oh, are
buckle
we
up,
talking
guys,
movie
it's a
stars?
wild ride.
Yeah, what kind of stars?
What kind of stars?
Well, when I was pulling images, it's really interesting. We have all sorts of stars. We've got religious stars. We've got
Okay.
astronomical stars. We've
Okay.
got stars that signify meaning within countries. So
Okay.
stars have a long and rich history.
Are we gonna see Starry Night?
Story night.
Girl,
Van
we're an
Gogh?
American Art Museum. You know that. No, I'll tell you what, we're not seeing anything remotely like Starry Night at the Museum Collection. So I hate to disappoint, but there will
Okay.
be no Van Gogh on this one. All right, y'all be good this week. I'll see y'all next week.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Thank you, Peggy.
Bye.
Great as
Bye.
always.
She always makes it interesting, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. Well, let's take a look at tomorrow. I wanted to let you know that Gail and I have, oh, there it is. Gail and I have had discussions about varying our content since we've had so many people that have left us.
Okay.
Just for your information, we're getting back the new person that replaced Dave Parks.
Oh,
Great.
okay.
Yes, we're going to have Mind Fit again. And
Good.
the lady that did chair exercises is coming back as well.
Excellent.
So it won't be quite so ho-hum and the same old thing after the next couple of
Who
weeks. So
said this is ever ho-hum? I like it.
I think we're pretty good.
Was it the new person exercise or the old person exercise?
The new person.
the new person, Emily.
Okay.
Emily will be back. Yes. And I wanted to tell you all of that because I'm showing you tomorrow is going to be Jeopardy again.
Okay.
Gail
I
said
don't
she
think
wanted,
anybody will complain, Martha.
okay. Gail said she wanted to do cookies, but she Now, Gail told me this morning that she has had COVID.
Yes.
Yes.
I did
Oh.
not know that, as well as having back pain. So she's been in double trouble for quite some
Wow.
time.
That's too bad.
Yeah, she's still not feeling 100%, but she's better, and Jeopardy is going to be less frequent. So just wanted you to know.
Oh,
And I don't have one ready for tomorrow yet, so it'll be a surprise.
Pretty a lot.
What was that?
I enjoyed having Jeopardy a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We like Jeopardy.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'm pleased that I'm bringing you Jeopardy tomorrow.
Yes.
And then Friday, 2 weeks ago, we had the bassoon and the piano, and Buddy Bray played the piano. He's coming back on Friday as a piano soloist.
Okay.
And he's a really good storyteller about classical music. I hope he brings us some stories as well. So that's for the rest of the week.
That sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you. So at this point, let's stop the recording and move right on into Fifth Street Cafe.